I could see the Bills maybe not wanting to deal with that. At this point, upset their team that way. They had to deal with the punt god crap in the preseason. And wait, the second time you brought up the whole Bills thing, like, damn, let's just get into it right now. What do you mean? They lost the game. What's wrong with them? What's up? What's up?
I don't.
They lost the game.
I don't want to give it short shrift.
They were up 14 to 3 and kicking butt,
Chris,
and their quarterback did some dumb stuff. They're still one of the best teams in football.
I understand. And the reason that I went down this path yesterday, I was reminded of your take on the Cowboys before Dak Prescott got injured and after Dak Prescott got injured. You take Prescott out of the mix, and the offense is forced to be more diverse, more creative, less reliant upon a great quarterback going out and saving the day. And I feel like that's kind of where the Bills are right now, that they're relying too much on the greatness of Josh Allen, and they're not doing enough to support him. There's not enough creativity. There's no run game to speak of. And again, Nyheim Hines for Zach Moss is not the way to dramatically improve.
I hear you, Mike.
The performance of your tailbacks. So it's your fault. If you hadn't put that idea in my head that sometimes teams get, and it's not lazy. My son and I were talking about this last night. It's not like the coaches go home early and show up late. There's just less of an urgency. You've only got so many hours in the week that you can devote to preparing for the next opponent. And you spend maybe less time doing the high-end Sean Payton stuff, devising strategies and thinking outside the box and coming up with new and innovative ways to deploy your 11 players on offense if you know that you've got Josh Allen.
Yeah, Mike.
If you know that you've got Dak Prescott. If you know that you've got Patrick Mahomes. And the Chiefs don't do that with Mahomes. The Chiefs are always looking for other ways to stretch that rubber band of their offense.
No doubt.
Things they've never done before.
They are.
That's why. You wanted it.
This is great.
You got it.
I got it. That's right. You like that? Yeah, I like that. Okay, I do. But
just keep your shirt on.
But you're right about everything you said there. You are right. But the problem is this is like 3 years in a row of this conversation. This is where, to me, the Bills' offensive talent, and this is why I go sign Odell Beckham Jr. or they need another guy. This is 3 years in a row. Gabe Davis he's a real good guy. He's not a superstar. The weaponry there, their offensive line, everything, it's not as good as people think. It's good. The offensive line is good. It's not great. Their weapons are good. They're not great. It's Stephon Diggs. Everything about them on the offensive side of the ball is Josh Allen. You're right. They are too Josh Allen centric. There's no question. I mean, they are, but that's what's got them where they are. And, they just, you're right. They got to find a way to ease it to where it's just not so much pressure on him week in and week out. But I don't think that's going to change right now. I don't. And that's where I do think they need that other weapon, to get them over the hump against a team like Baltimore, who's going to be able to take away Stephon Diggs with some creative stuff. And Kansas City, we know they're going to get better. And of course, they've been beaten by Buffalo. We're going to have that marked on their calendar and want a rematch. And they got Kadarius Toney. They make those moves to help out Mahomes all the time, too. And we don't see that all the time with Buffalo.
Question.
Yeah.
If you're a general manager,
right.
Let's say you're the general manager of the Bills, and you see that your buddy Kyle Shanahan gave up a second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round pick for Christian McCaffrey, what would you have offered for Alvin Kamara?
Oh. Probably a little less than that, but probably not that far off. Kamara's a little older, right? I want to say, am I right about that? A year older, 2 years older, and
they were drafted the same
year, so they're the same, except maybe Kamara might have with a transfer might be a year older, but probably somewhere along those lines. But the off the field stuff and the amount he's been banged up the last few years, man, that would make me rethink. I would definitely want to do my due diligence and really try to figure out the injuries, the body, where it's at, all of that type of stuff. But I would say somewhere, in that ballpark, but probably just a little less than what McCaffrey got.
Kamara's 11 months older than Christian McCaffrey, but they did enter the same year. 8th overall pick was McCaffrey. Kamara fell to round 3, and that was one of the guys that Sean Payton was secretly coveting. And I know that when McCaffrey was having his big years, there was an effort by some with the Saints to point out to folks like us, Alvin Kamara is every bit as good as Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
We just aren't beating the crap out of him the way that the Panthers are.
Right.
We're not overusing him and setting him up for a shortened career or short-term injuries that make him not available to us. But, hey, with all running backs, it's not about the player, it's about the position. You are going to have injuries. So, look, the ship has sailed. It's not going to happen now, and it's not like he's going to get cut and be available through waivers and then can sign with any team he wants to if he's not claimed on waivers. So it's not happening, but I just can't help but wonder whether he was really hoping it would happen, and that would explain – a 3-touchdown. That would help explain a 3-touchdown outburst 2 days before the window closes.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But we'll see where it goes with Alvin Kamara. I certainly think we could see this team, being broken apart after this year a little bit. Where, I wouldn't be shocked if Alvin Kamara was on another team next year. Michael Thomas certainly looks like he's going to be on another team next year. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these guys kind of fall by the wayside and end up with new teams, finish their careers in a new spot there. I think we're seeing about the end of the lifeline of this Saints football team. We are. They'll hang around. They'll upset a few teams here down the stretch and be a pain in the butt. But they got a rude awakening last night to know that they're not in the class of a team like the Baltimore Ravens, who is in one of the elite categories in football right now.
And the question then becomes, how long will this regime be tolerated in New Orleans? How long will Dennis Allen be there? How long will Mickey Loomis be there? He's been there forever. That all comes down to the decision-making of one person. And we learned yesterday that one person can make some pretty kooky decisions. That is the topic that will dominate the next segment of the show as we try to figure out what in the hell happened in Indianapolis yesterday. We'll do that when Tuesday's edition of PFT Live continues right after this. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.